Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:06 on O'Connor and Company, and we're flying into our fourth hour here. If you missed any of our program leading up till now, we spoke with Derek Anderson, Republican nominee for Congress in Virginia 7. We also spoke with Tom Fitton. Why don't you pick up our podcast, subscribe to it so you don't miss anything that we do each morning. You'll be happier for it, and we'll appreciate it. You know, we don't ask much here, Julie.
We don't.
This is free, what we do. We provide it absolutely free. So, you know, the one thing we ask, subscribe to the podcast. Is that a lot?
No.
I don't think it's much. Joining us, that's Julie Gunlock. I'm Larry O'Connor, and this is Byron York, Washington Examiner. And are you amused, Byron?
Well, don't ask much. Just 4 hours of your life.
Well,
hey, if we have to do it, you have to do it.
Byron, what a remarkable 5 days we've had in American politics. Man. You could write a book just about these 5 days, Byron. In fact, I think you should. Let's start with the debate, if we could. We mentioned some state polls. New Hampshire, a real eyebrow raiser, because that's the St. Anselm poll. That's a legit poll. And Nate Silver's national trend seems to be, going in two very distinct directions. How are the Democrats interpreting this information with regard to Joe Biden's performance and the fallout?
Yeah, well, I think it's reinforcing the panic that they felt on Thursday night. And now, after the Trump conviction, I said, let's wait a couple of weeks for these polls. Let's don't look at these quickie, instant polls. Things like this take a while to sink in. People learn about it. They talk about it with people they know. They form their opinions. So I think we're still in that process after the debate. But I think what Silver was suggesting was that as that process goes on, as people sort of digest what happened, it looks worse and worse for Biden. It's not getting better. It's actually getting worse. So what you saw is that you saw this initial panic about 9:45 on Thursday evening.
Yes.
Oh, man, the Democratic Party was just in an absolute meltdown. And then overnight
and shockingly, Byron, the staff saying, he has a cold. That didn't actually assuage anyone's fears.
And by the way, he has a cold, and he's going out and shaking everybody's
hand. At the Waffle House. Yes.
Hanging out at the Waffle House. I think I'll take my cold to the Waffle House. So...
It's only one of the few viruses you need to worry about at Waffle House.
Overnight, the kind of get tough people kind of got together and said, look, he had a bad night. Let's all admit he had a bad night, but everything's fine. He's going to be the nominee, blah, blah. And so that it almost calmed for a day or two. And then now I think people are seeing that, this is not a problem that goes away. When you say somebody had a bad night, it's like saying, well, Novak Djokovic had a bad match, but he'll be a champion like next week. Right. He'll be back to his championship level next week. And that's not how this process works, this aging process that Biden is undergoing right now. So I think that you're seeing actually concerns increase, especially as this polling comes in, as you point out, not just nationally, but in some key states, and it just looks terrible.
Well, I love your assessment of how the sort of corporate media is handling this. You've kind of talked about how people were panicked. The entire New York Times opinion page was just time to go, time to gracefully drop out.
I know.
But now, it's obvious Jill and Hunter Biden have really worked their magic. Do you think there'll be more of this? He had a bad day, he had a cold, or will there be more pressure put on the White House for him to drop out?
No, I think the dropout option is not very good as long as the president doesn't want to do it. And you can say, yes, Jill and Hunter Biden had a big role in this, but Joe Biden does not want to drop out. Yeah. He's the guy involved here. And actually, it says that he has pretty good hours between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Oh, my God.
And at that time of the day, he's decided not to drop out. So I still don't think there's a good option for the Democratic Party. It's now July the 2nd. Everything is set for the convention.
Yeah.
And all of the state people, all of the DNC people, they all are loyal to the president here. And you just can't emphasize how hard it is for any party. I mean, be a Republican trying to dump Trump, at the Republican convention. You can't do it. It's very hard for a party to dump a sitting president. It's almost impossible, and Biden is not going to help them out.
Okay, so I'm on the record saying that I think that they are going to make a shift here. That they, as soon as they realize that staying with Biden means they're going to lose in November. Most specifically,
well, do you think it'll take another senior moment to do that, or
it might, or I just
what they know?
Yeah, because you can't take this out of the minds of the voters. The die is cast, right? You can't reverse it. And also, I mean, people are maneuvering backward in the background. You've seen the Gretchen Whitmer statements that have come out, and she's making some overtures that maybe she's the only way they would. Because the Michigan poll is also devastating.
Yeah, and we have to remember, I say this all the time, so I'll say it again. The way that Biden loses and that Trump wins, if Trump wins all of the states that he won in 2020, which I think he can do, then he needs to win Georgia and Arizona, which he also look very, very good for him. And if he can do that, he has to win one of Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Wisconsin, one of those states, which means looked at from the other side, Biden has to win all three of those states. He has to win Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. So if you have the governor of Michigan saying it doesn't look good here, that is a huge problem for Democrats. And listen, if they could just snap their fingers and get another candidate, they would. But right now, I think they realize that this is the situation we're in, and we have to somehow drag Joe over the finish line.
Byron, real fast on this. Everyone says, well, the machinations, he's already on the ballot everywhere, and the funding that's come in, fundraising, it's got to be there's got to be a contingency plan here. Set aside whether he's, incapable of running. If, God forbid, the president were to pass away, clearly they have to have some mechanism to replace him on the ticket.
Of course they do. And if you look at the Democratic Party's convention rules, which were changed after the 1980 Ted Kennedy challenged Jimmy Carter, they allowed delegates to vote. The delegate is supposed to, I believe it says, in all good conscience, reflect the intentions of the people who elected those delegates. And that doesn't exactly say you have to vote for the guy. Mm-hmm. You have to reflect, and if something happens, like the president actually dies, or if the sentiments of the people who choose the electors or the delegates, if those sentiments change dramatically in a period of time, such as they're doing right now, it's possible that they could change. But you just have to remember how many Biden loyalists are all through the Democratic Party. Joe Biden was the guy who blew up the Iowa, New Hampshire system in Democratic primaries. That had been going for decades, and so many Democrats said, it's not a good idea because Iowa and New Hampshire are so white, and it doesn't reflect the Democratic constituency, and we need to change that. But it never happened until Joe Biden did it. I think that shows you how much he controls the Democratic Party.
Real fast, Byron, because we can talk to you for hours. We love having a conversation with you. Do you hear anything out of the Trump side has been awfully quiet about the vice president running mate situation. Yeah. And when you said, all he's got to do is win one of those three states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, there's one guy who straddles that area and talks to those voters like no one else, and that's Senator J.D. Vance. Yep.
Well, it's Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Ohio is looking really red these days.
Oh, excuse me. I meant
But you're right. But you're right. Vance is from the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I keep hearing about Burgum. Yeah. And I'll just give you my personal opinion here. You've in the past, historically, people would talk about choosing a vice president who had some sort of geographical balance, maybe age balance or something. I think with Trump, you need temperament balance because he is unpredictable. He can be entertaining. He can be all of those things. And what people, I think, would like to have is somebody sort of boring and steady to go along with him. And I think that's a role that Mike Pence played in the first administration. Mm-hmm. So Burgum fits that. I don't think Vance fits that. He's also pretty young. You can make the argument that he could use some more experience. But I think, it's like Trump can say, look, I do the MAGA around here, okay? And, you're going to be the steady guy standing back and being ready to replace me. So I kind of think it's Burgum right now, but you started out by asking, have you heard anything?
Yeah.
Trump has done a really good job of keeping this really under wraps.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is everybody likes that hot chocolate lava cake for dessert, but it's even better with some vanilla ice cream. And Doug Burgum is the vanilla ice cream.
Oh, God.
If I'd only thought of it to say it that way.
You should steal that.
You're way too smart to think of things like that. Byron York, thanks for joining us, sir. It's 8:17.
Thank you, Larry.
WMAL, making sense of the vote because elections have consequences. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Remember last week, Janet Yellen was asked about inflation and how it's really pinching. In fact, the reporter, I think, said, have you been to the grocery store lately? It's like stickers. Janet Yellen says, yes, I go every week. It's like, oh, please.
But she does.
Who believes Janet Yellen goes to the grocery store and throws a box of Rice-A-Roni in the shopping cart? Nobody. But because of the fallout from that sort of flat-footed moment, she made great pains to be seen going to the grocery store.
She looks miserable.
Here, this was Janet Yellen last week.
Secretary Yellen, have you been to the grocery store lately?
I sure have. I go every week.
It's sticker shock, isn't it?
No.
Absolute bullpucky. There is no way Janet Yellen goes to the grocery. But here she is, going to the Giant.
Yes.
Not a Whole Foods.
Yes.
Not a Wegmans. No. She went to Giant. And she does look miserable, doesn't she?
And she brought her own bags.
She did. Of course she did. Sure.
Of course she did.
Yeah.
Yes. But she does look like I don't ever want to go back.
She looks like she just had a colonoscopy without the anesthesia. She is so miserable.
She's like, oh, you poor people. I have to do this every week.
This is what you endure?
My God.
And here's you don't see what's in the bags. I want to know. I want to know what she shopped for.
I think that's her husband behind her. He looks miserable too.
He looks real happy.
Yeah.
And then there's somebody directing her to her car, which is like
her visiting agent.
So wait, why doesn't she know where she parked? Unless did she pull up in a limo?
Probably.
She took the motorcade.
One of those big SUVs.
Giant.
One of those big SUVs. Yes.
Well, see, they're just like us, Julie.
Just like us.
These people. I wonder if she felt the sticker shock, though, that we're all feeling at the grocery store.
It.
That's why I want to see what she bought. Yeah, I want to see exactly what the shopping list was so she can see how much. Yeah. It's probably about 35% more than it was before she became Secretary of the Treasury.
I'm telling you, Larry, I went to the grocery store yesterday, and I just had to buy some olive oil. And I can't believe the prices. Then I went over and I looked at, just canola oil. Yeah. Seed oil. Excuse me to the haters. This small container was like $10. It's really shocking. These are basic things.
Right. And I've had the same thing. There's some things you can't do without. And so you just got to get it. And so then the other things that you can sort of be flexible with.
Yeah.
That's what I've when I go to the protein section to get my meats or whatever it's going to be. A lot of chicken thighs. Yep. I just picked yesterday I was feeding 7 and they had a special legs and thigh quarters.
Yep.
99 cents a pound.
I share. I mean,
boom. I did. I sent you pictures.
You do.
All through the night. We send each other pictures of our cooking.
No, but I'm cooking for 3 teenagers. So you're always like, hey, Giant has a great deal on chicken thighs.
Right. Leg quarters were 99 cents a pound.
Yeah.
And you got to take advantage of those moments.
We haven't had a steak in my house. And it is ground beef or nothing, kiddo.
Yeah. Something tells me Janet Yellen was eating steak. Yeah, filet mignon. She doesn't care. It's 8:23.
Now. On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:37, and we are all fired up and ready to hand it off to Chris Plant 30 minutes from now. I just checked. Chris Plant is here. He's in the building. He's getting his bronzer applied. He is doing the Joe Biden burnt umber shade today for the program, which will be nice.
Good choice.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm Larry O'Connor. She over there, that's Julie Gunlock. And joining us right now, Kayla Owen from Friends of Vimsdep. She was down in Richmond, and boy, what a circus it was down there for our lawmakers, trying to do what I would think everyone would agree is the right thing to do. Kayla Owen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning, Larry and Julie. Thank you so much for having me. Everyone did agree it was the right thing to do. We actually had majority support from the Senate, both Democrats and Republicans. However, Senate leadership refused to docket a bill that had bipartisan support that had already passed the House unanimously.
Yeah. And just for the record, remind everybody what VMSDEP is and why we're even having this fight right now.
So it's the Virginia Military Survivors Dependents and Education Program. It provides 8 semesters of a tuition waiver, so not a cost to the state, for people that are 90% disabled or more as a result of their service or who have lost their life in service.
Okay.
So we're now 50 days since this legislation was passed through the budget that absolutely massacred this program.
So you said this is Democrat leadership. This is Louise Lucas. This is the president of the Senate. She's the one who's spiking this?
She is the one that's spiking this, and the sad tragedy in all of this is that it also impacts first responders. It impacts basically anybody that wears a uniform in our state. And it's hard to believe at this point that it was not intentional. We have had every mechanism available to us to fix this. We had Mark Sickles yesterday, who actually spoke in front of the Senate Finance Committee and said, we need to pass this bill. This has bipartisan support. The House is fully behind this. Don Scott, Speaker of the House, has said, I'm going to do a clean repeal. That's what we're doing. And for whatever reason, Senator Lucas is hell-bent on this not passing.
There's no question that the Democrats, particularly Virginia Democrats, are were very vocal in their defund the police activities. They haven't exactly been supportive of the military. Is that the root of this? What has Louise Lucas said about the reasoning behind killing this program?
She has not given us any specifics in terms of why she wants to kill the program. I think the problem is, at this point, the governor has said he wants a repeal. The House has said they want a repeal. All of the Republicans and 4 Democrats in the Senate have said they want a repeal, and I think she just is using and abusing her power.
She doesn't want to give him a win.
She doesn't want to give anyone a win.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, so the leadership of the Democrats in the House of Delegates, I believe, are centered mostly in Northern Virginia. And everybody thinks this is just Republican Democrat. Louise Lucas hates Democrats from Northern Virginia. That's why she spiked the sports arena.
Yeah, in Alexandria.
This is one woman and her own personal vendetta, it appears.
It really is. And the astonishing part is that she seems to have forgotten that the Virginia Bill of Rights states that her power is instilled in her by the people, and she continues to refuse to listen to them. And it's just absolutely astonishing that we're even in this situation. We had a solution yesterday, and she was the single individual who chose to block it.
Really?
By the way, with some support from Scott Serville too, so he is absolutely not clean either.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about this, but there was a Twitter exchange between Louise Lucas and another Democrat. They kind of got into it. Can you tell us about that?
So Missy Smossel, who is down in Louise's area, who is running for a federal seat, tweeted her support for this program and stated that it should have been fixed. And Louise Lucas basically tweeted telling her that she needed to stay out of the business of the House and the Senate. And it got into a pretty heated Twitter exchange. So not only is she trying to fight with Republicans, she's trying to fight with people in her own party, which, does not appear to be good optics for anyone.
Yeah, Louise Lucas actually said, how dare you attack me? How dare you attack me for trying to kill a program for military veterans and first responders? Just insane.
You cannot think of an issue that should be more bipartisan in terms of support and agreed upon. And I mean, even for constituents, I don't know anyone that wouldn't say, people that have given their life for this country, for this state, that they should not have the full backing of the entire legislative body. And it appears that we do, absent 2 people.
Yeah, I remember last year during the elections for the House of Delegates and the Senate in Virginia, when Democrats won the majority back in the House, and also I think they built their majority by one more seat in the Senate. I remember them running on this. I said, vote for us, and we will kill tuition programs for the children of military veterans and what. Oh no, wait, they never mentioned anything. Who in the hell would run on something like this? So Kayla, Owen, give us some upside here. Is there any possibility that Louise Lucas will wake up this morning and say, oh hey, I've got an idea, it's my idea now and I'm going to write it? And it sounds like that's it. She just wants ownership of it, or what?
It appears that she just wants ownership of it. The reality is, though, in the 413 years of Virginia history, the budget bill has never one time originated in the Senate. And because this is relating to the budget, it has to originate in the House. So, I don't know if it's that she doesn't want to give Don Scott a win because he was the one that said he would come back first. She tried to claim yesterday that his bill was unconstitutional and would not pass legal review. They had some people that work in Senate finance that were supposed to be nonpartisan.
This is why people hate politicians. This is why people hate politicians, and it's why Glenn Youngkin won, by the way, running as a businessman. So,
tired of this.
And by the way, this is not only is this insulting on a base level, but also when you look at Virginia, the Purple Heart Trail, Purple Heart Highway. I mean, our Virginia's legacy is honoring our veterans, especially those who have been injured in the line of duty. Can you? Is there anything?
Virginia actually has a compact with their veterans, so it is literally in law stating that Virginia shall be the most veteran-friendly state, that everything that is done in the state should focus on becoming and being and maintaining that seat as the most veteran-friendly state in the nation. We're the number one recipient of defense dollars.
Yeah, right. Well, Kayla, is this also actually affecting income for the state? Is this in a roundabout way or even direct way actually going to cost the state?
Well, I think at the end of the day, it is going to cost the state in terms of the economy, because people are not going to want to move to Virginia. They're going to think, if we move to Virginia as a veteran, or if we want to work in Virginia, Virginia is not going to uphold its promises to veterans. And so this was one thing that was legislated through the budget this year. But the fact that this practice is accepted and that we've had to push so hard to come back and fix this, what's next? What other vulnerable group can have their benefits slashed under the cloak of darkness with no notice whatsoever? It's unconstitutional.
Kayla, Owen, we got to leave it there. It's Friends of Vimsdep.com, or Friends from of Wimstep is the name of the organization. Where should people go? What's the website?
The Friends of VMSDEP Friends.org. So VMSDEP Friends.org. And like Melissa said yesterday, please sign pass6003.com, PASS 6003.com. Thank you both so much for having me.
Thank you, Kayla, and thank you for being our eyes and ears down there in Richmond as this goes forward. It's just, but guys, I got to tell you, I mean, when the Democrats in Virginia tell you who they are, listen to them.
Right.
Believe them. You're seeing it play out right now before our very eyes. Hey, remember Kamala Harris? She's one heartbeat away from the presidency, Apparently, her team, such as it is, they're getting a little annoyed that, everyone saw the debate the other night, the Democrats, and they immediately started saying, oh, my God, we need Gavin Newsom. Oh, we need Gretchen Whitmer. Oh, Lord, well, maybe Andrew Cuomo will come out of retirement. How about Hillary? Give Hillary another chance.
Michelle Obama.
Right, Michelle Obama. We got to get her out. And Kamala Harris is like, I'm standing right here.
I can hear you.
I'm the one. I'm next. I'm the vice.
I'm the one who's had to endure 3 years of this.
According to Business Insider, Harris's camp is mad that Newsom and Whitmer are floated as Biden replacements over the Veep. It's going to get so bloody and so catty, and we are here for it. We love it. It's almost like people recognize that she is a laughingstock and a joke, and she's about as popular as Senator Kennedy once said, the current Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana, that is, about as popular as toe fungus.
She just needs to understand that we want to be unburdened by what has been.
That's right.
There you go.
That's what we need to do. The Babylon Bee has a fantastic headline illustrating the entire situation with Kamala Harris right now. Babylon Bee says, Kamala Harris instructed to stop answering all of her phone calls with, did he die? They don't like each other, right? I mean, it's public knowledge in this town, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Even though the phony sort of, chummy thing. Well, let's be clear, because I don't think Joe Biden knows who he likes or doesn't like, or who is in the room with him at any given time.
The Biden mob family does not like her.
It's Jill.
Oh yeah, and Hunter.
Jill.
Yeah,
Jill.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter doesn't like Jill either, but I mean, but
they'll
yes.
come together for a common enemy.
And Kamala is the common enemy. And one wonders how much of the whispering campaign.
She called him a racist.
Right, exactly. They will never get over that.
Did not have nice words during the primary.
So Kamala is now, just wait, she's going to start flexing. She's going to start making her own maneuvers.
Well, she kind of did that with that weird
BET thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't go over well.
They have a habit of hiring actors to interact with her, so.
That's true. Well, I mean, look at Mr. Emhoff.
True.
Is it Bruce?
David?
Lance?
Bill?
RuPaul. Doug. It's Doug. 8:52.
It's above me now. It's above me now. There's a Waffle House next door. There's a Best Western next door as well.
Will you ever be a journalist like Joy Reid, Chris Plant? Ever? Will you ever come close to that level?
I think I can answer that question with great ease and comfort.
But there's a Waffle House next door.
Yeah, there is a Waffle House next door, and Joe Biden should be working there.
I don't think he's qualified.
Screwing up breakfast orders because it saved the world, saved democracy. I think if Joe Biden is reelected, every form of life on Earth will die.
Yeah,
it should be the new Republican talking
point. Pretty much where we are right now.
You know, that's we're all for it. Not just mammal life, but all fish, all plant life will die if Joe Biden is reelected. That should be the talking point. You know, and save democracy. Go ahead and save democracy too. I love the rhetoric. A lot of crazy.